Well, hello, DCO Nation. Welcome to Dead Calm Outdoors Radio. This is the show where the tide set the tone and the bite tells the story. We're diving into everything saltwater inshore kayak fishing, from lures and locations to weather, water, and winning tactics. If it helps you hook up on more fish, we're talking about it right here. So grab your paddle, check your drag, and here we go. Well, welcome DCO Nation to another episode of Dead Calm Outdoors right here on the Outdoor Radio Network. My name is Chris, and again, before we jump into the show tonight, I would like to invite you to follow me on all my social media accounts, Instagram, Facebook, Spotify, YouTube, so that you never miss a show, you never miss a fishing update, and we can stay connected. So just search Dead Calm Outdoors, and again, you can see where I've been fishing, you can see where other people have been fishing. Continue to tag me in all of your fishing photos, because I am loving seeing you guys' kayak rigs and the fish you guys are catching right now. So again, head over to Instagram, Facebook, Spotify, YouTube, search Dead Calm Outdoors, and we can get connected. So it is wintertime right now. We are knee deep into the holiday season. Christmas is only, maybe about 10 days away, something like that. And, we are actually done with all of our Christmas shopping. We got done a little bit early this year. So kudos to us. It usually doesn't happen that way, but it is cold right now. South Carolina, today, as I am recording this, we just had a major cold front come through, and it was in the lower 20s. I'm not sure if it touched the teens or not, but it was like 20, 21 degrees. Now, I know all of my friends up in the northern states are probably thinking, yeah, it's zero up here where I'm at. So I don't want to hear about 20-degree weather. Well, for South Carolina, that is pretty doggone cold. So it's going to last a couple of days. It only recovered up into the 30s today. And then tomorrow, the lows again is going to be like 25, but then it recovers back up into the 50s. And then we're into a little bit of a warming trend for really about the next 10 or 12 days. It's actually going to be pretty seasonal. So, but I wanted to talk about these winter tactics when we do get these major cold fronts and how it affects redfish. So after these cold fronts kind of come through, I usually like to give it about at least 2 to 3 days after that front pushes through. It gives fish time to kind of reacclimate themselves to that little bit warmer water after the initial cold water drop. We may be like in the, let's say, the mid to upper 50s in our water temp, and these cold fronts will come through and they'll drop it down to maybe 48, 49, 50, and these fish become very lethargic. So I usually like to give it 2 or 3 days after the sun comes out. You get those nice bluebird skies, and usually, anytime during the year when you start getting these bluebird skies, the fishing gets tougher. Well, I think during the wintertime, I think it helps us with our wintertime fishing. It warms up the water. These fish kind of snap out of those cold spells, and the fishing turns on. But you have to give it a few days for those water temps to recover a little bit. So again, give it 2, 3, maybe even 4 days. Keep an eye on the weather, and then head back out. So a lot of things that we don't usually talk about, and I don't think I've addressed on the radio show yet, is, fish are cold-blooded. I know everybody knows that, but, fish will move to where warmer water is. So even if it's a degree or two warmer, that's where they're going to move to because it's more comfortable for them. So, it may be pushing up on a mud bank in, later in the afternoon because the mud is going to warm up a little bit. They may start off in deeper water because that deeper water is going to be a little warmer in the morning time, and then they'll push up onto that mud. So, I kind of like to equate, the redfish or any other type of fish to really us. During the winter time, if you're outside and maybe you're working around the house and stuff, but you're on the shady side of the house, it's going to be colder on that shady side of the house. Well, if you want to warm up, where do you go? You go on the sunnier side of the house. You get out into the sun. It's a couple of degrees warmer. Maybe you're protected from the wind a little bit. So, if you can kind of think about your tendencies during the wintertime and how you warm up outside and translate that to how a fish is going to respond in the water, that will help you eliminate maybe some dead water and maybe put you on some fish. So think about, deeper water is going to be warmer. Sunny banks. So, if the sun rises in the east, the west banks are going to get the first sunlight of the day. So those west or maybe southwest banks are going to heat up first in the morning or late morning. So, get on Google Earth and really kind of look at those areas when you first go out in the morning. Mud bottoms. Mud bottoms are going to absorb heat a lot faster than maybe a sand bottom. So sandy bottoms are obviously they're lighter in color, and basically they are going to reflect and not absorb that sunlight. So gravitate more towards mud bottoms looking for redfish. Okay. Oyster beds. Oyster beds are fantastic. They are the radiators of the water. They are going to heat up very quickly and hold heat. A lot of bait fish, small shrimp are going to gravitate around these oyster beds, and you will find these predator fish around oysters. Matter of fact, I was on Instagram just a few minutes ago, just kind of doing some scrolling on some of the guys that I follow. And one guy had some video of some tailing fish, and they were right on the other side of a small little oyster bed. So these tailing reds, they're going to be where it's a little bit warmer and where those bait fish and, maybe even small shrimp are going to hang out. So, look for those oyster beds. Look for rock. Rock is just like oysters. Rock will absorb heat, and they will hold heat for a while. So at a low tide situation, that rock is just going to get beat on by the sun and warm up. So then as the tide starts to come in, the areas around those rock banks or riprap are going to stay warmer, and fish will gravitate and push up towards those rock banks. And then obviously shaded areas are going to stay cooler longer because, the sun is not going to hit it until the sun, again, when the sun hits it. I'm sorry, I kind of lost track of my thought there. It's going to stay cooler longer until the sun starts to warm it up and hit those areas. And again, just to reiterate, sandy bottoms are going to reflect that sunlight. They're going to stay colder longer. So look for those muddier bottoms. On windier days, look for protected areas, tree lines, docks. I know a lot of homes that are right on the waterfront. Anything, excuse me, that is going to protect you from the wind. So again, one of the little tricks or that I like to remember is if you have a nice hot bowl of chili or soup, how do you cool it down? Well, you blow across the surface of the soup and it cools it down. So again, the same thing is going to happen out on the water. Windy areas are going to keep the surface of the water cooler longer. the protected areas where the sun has been beating down all day, they're going to heat up quicker. And again, if you have those other situations, protected, sunlight, muddy bottom with oyster, you that is a recipe for success. So during your pre-trip planning, jump on Google Earth and look at those areas like that. And for the winter, I am constantly on my weather app. And the weather app that I am just absolutely just fallen in love with, I just love this app right now, is the Outdoor Radio Networks app. It's their weather app. And if you go to outdoorradionetwork.com/mobile, you can get the outdoor radio on the mobile app so you can listen to all the shows. And that's where you find the weather app, and it gives you a 7-day forecast. There's actually, the way that it was explained to me was, there's 4 weather models where they gather all of the data for this weather app to give you 7 days forecast. And then they have the Windy app. And the Windy app is absolutely fantastic. If you don't know about the Windy app, I just absolutely love it. So that is one of my staples when I am pre-fishing for my day of fishing. Okay. I know that sounded a little bit redundant, but the weather app, Google Maps, those are absolutely essential when I am looking for, again, the protected areas, the muddy bottoms, the oyster. Absolutely. Get on your apps, do a lot of your homework first. It is going to set you up for success, especially during winter. Wintertime fishing is tough enough, if you're searching around trying to find fish. It happened to me a couple of weeks ago. My latest video that I just put out on YouTube, you can go watch it right now. I went through a progression where I went almost 5 hours before catching a fish until things started to warm up and the conditions started to change a little bit. So, guys, use your apps, use Google Earth, find those areas where you can get yourself onto some fish. Well, guys, stick around. Don't go anywhere. We're talking winter fishing. We're going to be talking the 5 best lures for December and January. But you're listening to Dead Calm Outdoors right here on the Outdoor Radio Network. Well, welcome back, DCO Nation, to Dead Calm Outdoors right here on the Outdoor Radio Network. And in that first segment, we were talking about winter fishing and winter conditions, and how these redfish are, how they react to the cold weather and these cold fronts that have been pushing through the last couple of days. So, talking about, giving them a couple of days to get reacclimated to their water temperatures. If the water temperatures dip down and drop, where to look for some warmer areas, protected areas, deeper water, mud banks, the sunny banks, wind protected areas, all of those areas. And then getting on and using Google Earth and your weather apps to map out and where you want to go during your fishing day. That will give you the best success when you head out in December and January on these cold winter days. Because I tell you, when you get out there, you want to maximize the time on your water and eliminate a lot of those dead areas. So let's go ahead and let's continue on through. So let's talk about lure presentation and kind of what these fish are looking for. So during the winter time, redfish, they really don't want to expend energy chasing down a meal. Their metabolism kind of slows down a little bit. So they want basically something that is going to be right in their face. So a slow presentation, methodical, almost dead sticking bait on the bottom is what they are looking for, and they will attack it. Fish still need to eat during the wintertime. They still need to keep their energy up And so they still need to eat. Now, yes, they were packing on some pounds during, the fall when the shrimp hatches were going on, but, they are still wanting to eat. And they want to eat, the small little bait fish that are still there, the little glass minnows, the little grass shrimp. There's also like little marine worms that kind of stick to the bottom, and they eat a lot of those. I remember talking to a captain one time, and they opened up a belly of one of these redfish, and it was just full of these marine worms, and that's what the diet was. So, we're going to get into some lures here in a little bit, but yeah, they are still eating. They still need to keep their energy up. So, food may still be a little bit scarce, but if it's low and slow and it's in their face, they are still going to attack it. So keep it low and slow during the winter time. Now let's talk about the lure sizes that I like to throw during the winter time. Now, I'm going to go through and I'm going to give you my 5 and then one bonus lure that I kind of thought about, but I know that I'm going to be throwing it. So I'm going to add it as a bonus at the end. So if you guys want to see these lures and how I have them rigged up, you can catch the video version of this on Spotify and YouTube at Dead Calm Outdoors. So you can head over there and, if you guys actually want to see it. But let's start out with my number 5 lure that I'm going to be fishing during December and January. And that is a 4-inch jerk shad. And this is the Z-Man 4-inch scented jerk shad. And I have it on a 1/8 ounce trout eye. I love the trout eyes. I love all of the eye strike jigs and hooks. That's pretty much all I use. I have confidence in them. I've never had a hook straighten out with eye strike. I'm not sponsored by eye strike at all. And a matter of fact, all of the lures that I have out here, they're all Z-Man products. And again, I just want to reiterate that I am not sponsored by Z-Man or eye strike. Now, if Z-Man would like to reach out, I would be more than happy to talk to them about a sponsorship, because I love their baits and love their products. But this by no means is the only jerk shad on the market, and use the one that you have confidence in. But the 4-inch jerk shad, I absolutely love it. And this one again is on an 1/8 of an ounce trout eye. And then I have another one. Oop, I just bumped into the mic. I have another one that is rigged up on a 1/8 ounce Texas eye. So this will give it a little bit of a weedless presentation. And I like working this one around oysters. So there's the Texas eye for the jerk shad. Again, low and slow, bouncing off the bottom. I like to put them onto the bottom, hop and pop this, and then just let it set, almost like it's a wounded, dying bait fish. And I'll let it sit there. And even as I'm just holding this, you can see the tail moving. So even when it's sitting on the bottom, you can almost imagine how any type of current is going to have that tail just wiggling around and moving. So my number 5 is the 4-inch jerk shad. So number 4 is going to be a small paddle tail. And this, again, this is the Z-Man, and this is the minnows. This is the 3-inch minnows. And this color is actually in Purple Death. It's purple on the top. It's got a little bit of a chartreuse kind of translucent belly. And again, oop, I just dropped it. I've got it on a 1/8 ounce trout eye. And so that, again, the trout eye right there. And this one, I can slow roll right on the bottom, just kind of move it right on the bottom, or I can just dead stick it and it'll just stand up onto the bottom. Maybe give it a hop, maybe a couple of hops, and just let it set for 5, 6, 10 seconds. It feels like an eternity, but it's not. And then maybe another hop or two, or maybe slow roll it for a little while. But the small 3-inch paddle tail is deadly during the winter time. Match the color to your conditions. So the darker colors if it's overcast skies, lighter colors if it is bright sunny skies, the pearls. I like the beer run colors. Blue glimmer is another good. There's all kinds of them. So the lighter colors during bright blue skies. So my number 3 is going to be the Z-Man TRD. And the TRD is just a little, I think this one is a 2.75 inch. It looks like a little stick bait, and that's all it is. And this is absolutely deadly. The color I am showing right now is the deal color. I love the deal color. And I have it rigged on a 1/10 ounce Ned head. And the Ned head will allow this to set straight on the bottom. Again, if you guys go and watch the video, you can see how it is, but I've got it setting straight on the bottom, and this thing sits straight up in the air. Because of the Elastec material is buoyant with the Z-Man products, this thing looks like a marine worm or maybe a small shrimp or a small bait fish. That's what it's mimicking. And you just let this thing set, again, maybe a hop or two, but just let it set. And the TRD is absolutely deadly. If you haven't tried this, go and try it. Number 2, we're starting to get down here to the good ones. So the Prawn Star. This is the new 2.5 inch Prawn Star. This is in brown shrimp color. And then I also like the Salty Ned Shrimp. And the Salty Ned Shrimp I have rigged on a 1/10 ounce finesse eye. But these two very small shrimp patterns are absolutely deadly during the winter time. Matter of fact, last week I broke my drought by throwing the 2.5 inch Prawn Star around some docks and just letting the current just kind of sweep it around some pilings. I wasn't moving it at all, and the redfish just absolutely inhaled it. He hit it and actually ran for a piling. So yeah, absolutely deadly. So the Salty Ned Shrimp at 2.5 or maybe 2 3/4, and then the small 2.5 or maybe even the 3-inch Prawn Star are absolutely deadly, just deadly. Now, my number 1 for the winter that I love to throw is the Slim Swim. And again, the Slim Swim is from Z-Man. And again, I'm holding them both up. One is a 3-inch, and the 3-inch is in the deal color. And I've got that on a 1/8 ounce. See, I dropped that one too. Holy cow, guys. The 3-inch Slim Swim is on a 1/8 ounce trout eye. And then the 2.5 inch, yeah, it's 2.5 inch Slim Swim, even the smaller one, I have got on that 1/10 ounce finesse eye. And I love this weedless presentation. It is absolutely deadly. And matter of fact, I'm pulling this little Slim Swim on. It looks beat up, but this is the one that I got my PB redfish on last winter, the 2.5 inch Pearl Slim Swim on a 1/8 ounce trout eye. And I caught a 31 inch redfish up in the creek. So they absolutely catch fish. And now, guys, I am starting to run out a little bit of time, but here is my bonus. And this is the Z-Man Diesel Kickers. It is a 2.75, no, I'm sorry. It is a 3.25 inch bait, and it's got this little V tail in the back. So a very subtle profile. I like to rig it with a trout eye jig head and just kind of slow roll, and again, pop and dead stick this. And I really love working this out of creek mouths. Absolutely deadly. This one is in root beer color. I've got it again in opening night color, which is a little bit more of a natural color. But guys, those are my 5+1, the jerk shad, the 3-inch minnows, the TRD, the prawn star, or the salty Ned shrimp, the slim swim in 2.5 or 3-inch. And then the bonus lure is the new diesel kickers. So guys, give those a try. I know you're going to catch fish. Remember, low and slow on the bottom. If you think you're fishing slow, fish it slower. It is painful for me because I'm a power fisherman, but it's what you have to do to get these finicky redfish to hit during the winter time. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed the episode. I know I did, pulling all these out and sharing them with you. Guys, I really do appreciate each and every one of you. And remember, conservation starts with you. Release a fish for someone else to enjoy. And you've been listening to Dead Calm Outdoors right here on the Outdoor Radio Network.